not discourage this because we realize that to many individuals a picture, a well-wrought picture of their mentor or their tutelary divinity is very important for them to conceptualize ritualistically. However, Satan symbolically is the teacher, the informer of the wise awareness of the world. And in answer to those who would label us devil worshippers or be very quick to assume us to be Satan worshippers, I must say that Satan demands a study, not worship. We do not grovel, we do not get down on our knees, genuflect, and worship Satan. We do not implore that Satan give us what we wish. We feel that anyone who is going to be blessed by any god of his choice is going to have to show that God is capable of taking care of the blessings that are received. The Church of Satan is an organization which is comprised of Satanists who, because of their abilities and lifestyles, and I must stress this, lifestyles, reflect a higher than average human potential. Through this avenue, the Church of Satan, the Satanists will become the prototype for a more rational, certainly more finely tuned society. The stress has been on nude altars. The nude altar is an integral part of the satanic service, and with good reason. The nude altar represents man's fleshly heritage, the very earth, the mother, the womb from whence he came. And we feel that there's nothing bawdy, there's nothing licentious, nothing lewd about the nude was employed for an altar, the nude woman. We also feel that there's nothing wrong with bawdiness, with licentiousness, or with any type of sexual activity, but we feel as though the ritual chamber is no place for either overtly or covertly. And there's no need to be surreptitious in our ritual as our sexual predilections are concerned. Now, for centuries, both churchmen and laymen have been defining the devil according to their needs, all the while playing the game of muzzling the enemy. They've been inventing the rules of how devils should behave, how Satanists should behave, how devil worshippers should act, and they have been in an authoritative position to do this, because they are the men of God, they are the men of the church. Supposedly they are the men who have been doing battle with this devil and been absolving their parishioners of these devil's conflicts. In this manner have they maintained a convenient means by which to escape the blame for their inadequacies or indiscretions. The devil made me do it. It has long been a stock alibi, once upheld, and held very firm. Now, fortunately for us, it has become ludicrous to say the devil made me do it. Yet many, while laughing, still play the old game of self-deceit and blame the devil one way or another. So the old game is still going. This is made amply clear in, of all places, the very world of the occult. Witches, held in the devil's name for centuries, now refute Satanism with a passion, deploying it to the other side of the fence, which they are most certainly not. All manner of occultists, from ESP researchers to faith healers, denounce Satanism as worthless, meaningless, dangerous, and unassumed. But never has there been found positive attribute of Satanism. We Satanists only smile at such transparencies because they are transparent opinions. The motivations are most clear. It shows that even those who now claim emancipation from inquisitors need devils themselves in order to make their art more palatable to others. Ironically, the masters of the world have always been Satanists. The masters of magic have always practiced satanic magic. That is to say, magic without the trappings of self-deceit, because self-deceit is always an inhibiting factor in the ultimate success of the magical rite. The great devil's advocates of the past, Friedrich Nietzsche, Mark Twain, Herbert Spencer, H.G. Wells, Shaw, Pierce, all of them, they were able to hold a looking glass up to man, but man momentarily viewing his self-deceit upon reading the works of his people, could quickly avert his gaze and find solace in his spurious rule books. The time for an organization of devils was not yet ready when these devil's advocates existed. For only a strong, organized movement could force the mirror of self-revealing before the world's eyes and hold it. And this is what we wish to do. Hold that mirror up. It has been said the most powerful thing in the world is an idea whose time has come round. The idea that the enemy might conceivably have something worthwhile to say is now with us. In fact, is that demon within each of us really an enemy, as we have so long been taught? Or will it be recognized as the guiding spirit of enlightenment that it really is? We must remember the word demon does not imply evil, but simply a guiding spirit, a motivating spirit. Man must quit kidding himself. Only when he emancipates himself from dubious interpretations of good and evil, when he truly can rise above them, beyond them, realizing that these terms are probably the most relative terms in man's existence. When he can accept the long, obscene name of Satan, because that is a dirty word, Satan. The occult world seems to find it even more so. When he can accept this word, this name into his vocabulary as a sound to be honored, then he will be free. Until then, he will walk in fear of the very scapegoat he has created, and his potential guide will remain his nemesis. Satanism allows us to recognize and realize our own potential. This is what I would call balance. Realize that man is not each according to his own opportunity. Must make the most of it. Also realize that for the cause that we will not and we must, as a Satanist, realize what his true potential is. Eventually, and here is one of the intentions of Satanism, attain his own godliness in accordance with his own potential. Therefore, each man, each woman is a god or goddess, Satanism, but must never make the mistake of assuming that there may not be another god or another goddess next door that may be a little stronger than us. We feel that Satanism is a religion of blind precedent. I can't understand why some of our detractors seem so compelled to establish Satanism as a religion of death. It's nothing but the truth. Satanism believes we should live this life full in every drop of enjoyment in this life. We believe this is the best of all those worlds. If there's a better world, Satanists, inspired scientists who find. And we feel that life is the great knowledge. Death is the great absence. I've made it very clear in the Satanic Bible. Yet there are still many who say Satanism is death. So you might say this is a gateway to new and more vigorous life for the individual who might be struggling under the burden of depression The greatest misconception about Satan is human sacrifice. They seem to overlook the fact that a curse can be thrown without any blood being shed on the part of the magician and or the victim the magician will choose. Satanist accepts human life as a very precious thing, albeit wasted on some individuals. And we feel that there is nothing inherently wrong with anyone who just lives and allows others to live according to their own dictates. But nevertheless, curses have to be thrown. Curses is a symbolic act. This means that it gives vent to one's anger, one's emotion, and if it is directed properly towards the victim, then suffers accordingly. This is a common example of magic.
Intoxicated by what they call love making. There is quite a bit of discussion on the subject. Books and novels written. Philosophers have tried in some way or the other to invade the depths of the word. Sociologists and psychologists seem all but lost when they come the subject and its effect upon the mind of the individual. This seemed to be one of the broadest subjects discussed in our nation. Love is stronger than sex itself. And there is a great deal of discussion as to whether the matter of these subjects should be taught clearly, whether it should be taught in the home, whether it should be taught in the classroom. Some students in some of our eastern colleges are going out in an all-out effort to see to it that the subject is actually taught within the schoolroom. Yet it is something that is rather hard for any one person to give the other individual a full or clear understanding. Unfortunately, it seemed to have a different meaning to so many different people. I'm not going to invade the depths of this word, possibly as if I was a physiologist or that I was a psychologist, but I just want to deal with it enough for you to be able to see some spiritual light. And I don't know whether you're able to read the signs of the time about, but we have used and we have abused this God-given attribute in such a way that it has lost its power and its significance. Our young people today seem to consider it as a plaything. This which was meant to be sacred and dear as a plaything. Without any knowledge whatsoever, according today is much different from a long time ago. Men and women court without a purpose. But courtship is for a purpose. And courtship without the idea that someday marriage will be involved is not worth the while. Yeah, it becomes so sweet and lovely. And through the romantic situations, they finally get married. And because the love is only a physical love, it is not enduring. It's not enduring. You can't live off of love. It takes more than that to keep a home together. It takes more than that to keep it together. A young man was in love with the young lady who played the piano well. And he called the young lady his little parlor bird. And one day they got married and he bought a baby grand piano and put it in the living room. And he loved to hear her play on the piano. And every day he'd go to work and come in. She said, "Honey, are you hungry?" He said, "No, you're my little parlor bird, just play on the piano." He went out the second day, the same thing. The third day he came in. She was sitting at the piano. She then asked him whether or not he wanted anything to eat. sitting up there playing on the piano. He said, "Don't you have anything to eat, dog?" He couldn't hardly stand up. And she said, "No, I'm your little parlor bird. I'm just playing on the piano." He said, "Now, if you don't get up and cook me something to eat, I'm gonna make my little parlor bird fly." So it had changed over, almost overnight. It had made a great change in just 3 days. Oh, it's so lovely and so sweet. Boy, in the beginning, the man is so nice and kind. He's a gentleman. Open the car door for you to get in. Open the car door for you to get out. He's very careful to see that he embraces you as you begin to step up or down. And he's very careful to see to it that you're complimented when you clean the house well. And if you prepare good food, he always tell you that honey is so enjoyable. But in a few days it gets kind of old, and he forget what he started. The young man got married, and all of these things in which I mentioned he did. But it got kind of old to it. And his wife was still trying to keep it up. And after 1 year, he had a birthday. She prepared a big birthday dinner. She got a big sizzling steak. She got her best silverware and china and everything out, and placed it on the table. And he walked in the house that day for lunch. He didn't even notice any difference. No changes whatsoever. Never said a word. Washed his hand and face as usual and sit down and start eating away. And she was waiting for him to say something, but he just kept on eating. And she was just wringing her hand, wanting to know how her husband was enjoying. And so finally she said to herself, "I've just got to find out." And then she looked at him, she said, "Honey, are you enjoying your dinner?" He said, "You see me eating it, don't you?" Yeah, that's the way things change in these lives. It's so wonderful and we're so careful for a while. But this whole thing changes on us in some way.